Thank you for coming back to the second Zoom class we're doing. Remember two things. You could mute yourself, just so it. Can we do a second take?
No, you're live. You're very live.
Okay. Welcome to the second Zoom class. If you could mute yourself, that'd be great. If you want to ask a question, and we implore you to ask questions, because it's important, it's give and take, it's a community here. You can type them in the chat function, and my beautiful assistant back there is going to be reading them out to me. So everyone's answers.
I can't see me. You can't see me, but I'm here.
She's right here. That's why I meant my beautiful assistant. And that's it. That's it. I mean, that's it for so welcome back. Those of you who were with us last week, if you're new this week, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you can see everything. I hope it all looks good. We tried to up our values, our production values a little bit this week. And what are you waving your hands? You're trying to get me to slow down by talking really fast.
This is why you don't have coffee right before you go on a Zoom. So what are we going to do today, Mark?
Are we getting to that already? I was just making sure that everyone was here and just jabbering on until everyone was here.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We'll start. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make Hollandaise sauce. So this is actually the second part in a 5-part series that we're doing on Patreon. And so we put a poll up and people voted unanimously for us to use French classics. So we started with the 5 mother sauces of French cuisine, where this is the second one. We've done bechamel, we're doing Hollandaise today, and then we're going to do velouté and Espagnol and sauce tomatoes. So again, welcome. If you're cooking along with us, thank you very much. If you're here just for a bit of entertainment, hopefully we'll be entertaining. So let's start. We're going to make our Hollandaise. So to start with the Hollandaise, we need a pan of simmering water, which is going to act as our bain-marie, a metal bowl that we can sit on top of our pan of water, a whisk, and then we're going to need our eggs, our melted butter, or clarified butter. So if you don't know, clarified butter is butter that has been melted, and then the oils and the milk separate. So the oils rise at the top, the buttermilk sinks to the bottom, and we use just the oil. You can use whole butter, but milk tends to make it a bit heavier, a bit heavier and thicker, less refined, let's say. But you can do it with melted butter, it's fine. It shouldn't be too hot, just melt it down. We have our eggs. And what we have here is we have a reduction that I've pre-made. So this is shallots that I've reduced down with white wine and white wine vinegar. And this is going to act as like an acidic base. If you don't have this made and you are cooking along, that's okay. We're going to use a good squirt of lemon juice here to get that acidity in. But if you are making Hollandaise, I do recommend you do this. It's a little extra step, but actually it makes a big difference to the finished sauce. So the first thing we need to do is separate our eggs, because we just want the yolks.
Laura wants to know, can you use other types of vinegar or just white wine vinegar?
Hello, Laura. Can you use it? Yes, you really want to use, you want to use like white vinegar. So you can use like apple cider, or you can use white balsamic, just for the color of the whole thing. Because if you use like a red wine vinegar or something like that, your sauce is going to come out very pinkish, which is not really ideal. But really, it's just a way of adding acidity.
She said thank you and that you're cool. No, she didn't say the last part that you're cool.
No, I bet she did. So we're separating our eggs. We use whites now.
Meringues.
We can make meringues. We can clarify some wine.
Wow.
People do.
That was a big jump.
Clarifying wine.
Yeah, from meringues to clarifying wine. Okay.
So we're going to put our egg yolks over the pan boiling water. Start breaking them up. And we're going to add a dash of water. Now the idea here is we're trying to cook these egg yolks out without scrambling them. So we want to continuously whisk them to make sure they're not getting too hot. And you'll see as they begin to cook out, they begin to volume out, and they start to turn white. I got 4 yolks here. I added a couple of tablespoons of water, and I'm adding about a teaspoon of our reduction. The reduction, I mean, once we taste it at the end, we will see whether it needs more.
How long does this whisking need to take?
This whisking takes a while.
Oh.
You can speed it up if you're doing it directly on the heat, but if you do it directly on the heat,
Risky.
You risk scrambling your eggs. Now I'm going to use this same pan afterwards to poach my eggs in.
Getting frothy.
Getting frothy. You can see it's already starting to thicken up a little bit. And it's already starting to change colour. So yeah, this will take 4 to 5 minutes depending on the heat.
4 to 5 minminutes?
Yeah, and you want to...
think I'm made of time?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sometimes it takes time to make it food, you know? It takes time. Hollandaise is great. It's really one of the... I mean, you can't really go wrong with eggs and butter, can you?
Well, Carol Madigan is making hers from a mix, but that's okay.
Making it from a mix?
Yeah.
What's it in? Carol, what's it in a vegetable mix? A Hollandaise mix? Because I've never heard of one. So we used to do this in the restaurants. We used to do this to 2 orders. So every time somebody ordered a steak, we used to sell a big kilo, like a charolais, a big kilo, what do you call them, James? Not chateaubriands. What are the really big, like, French steaks?
Like a chateaubriand, a côte de bœuf.
A côte de bœuf.
Okay.
Whenever we had a côte de bœuf, we used to make this to order for every person.
Vincenzo would like to know, if you could tell everyone again, what was in the reduction in place of the lemon?
So in the reduction itself, shallots that I've diced up very, very fine. And then I added white wine and white wine vinegar. Put it on a very low heat, put a lid on it, and cooked it down very, very slowly. So we want to reduce it all the way down so all that liquid gets a little sec, where it's dried. And the shallots have cooked so that they've softened up. So that when we put them in the sauce, you don't get like lumps, like pieces of shallot coming out. So I'm taking it off the heat to get a bit hot. You can probably see, you can see there. It's starting to get nice and thick.
So Priscilla wants to know if she should have prepared everything beforehand, and also what she's putting in the eggs. Are you still in egg yolks and water?
It's still egg yolks and water, and I put some of the reduction. If you don't have the reduction, that's okay. You don't need to put the vinegar yet. You can just put lemon juice afterwards.
Okay. And then Myra wants to know about how long did the shallots take to, how long did you cook them down?
Slow, 10, 15 minutes in a pan with a lid on.
Priscilla's very worried about making an emergency reduction, and she does not have to worry about making an emergency reduction.
Yeah, do not worry about making the reduction. So.
There is no need to make an emergency reduction.
To be honest with you, so the reduction is a very old school French thing to do. So like you look at Escoffier's recipes, look at the LaRue's recipes, they make a reduction. but many modern chefs don't bother. But the whole idea of this course is to show you how things were done. You want to know the classic French? I'll show you the classic French. So now you can see here, it's a much lighter coming out again.
Yeah.
You see it's a lot lighter and thicker. Now, if you want to be sure if this is ready or if you need to cook it out anymore, you can actually taste it. And if it still tastes a little bit like raw egg yolks, which is a very distinct taste, then you'll know you just need to cook it out a little bit more. But that is not needed. So now we're ready to start adding the butter. Now we have to add butter in very gradually. We need a ladle because I don't trust this pan will form properly.
Okay, should I come in on you? I'm gonna get in there.
I mean, I'm gonna take this down in a second.
Okay.
All right. So as I'm whisking it, I'm adding it in very slowly, a teaspoon at a time, maybe.
It's a noisy process, especially when you drop things.
Everything is loud. Hot. Let's just get in. Now for about 4 egg yolks, it depends on the size of the eggs, and it depends on the size of the eggs really, but for 4 egg yolks, you're looking at about 200 grams of butter. As well, 6 ounces.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't do math.
Oh. And so
I studied political science. Not useful.
We're going to keep whisking and we're going to keep...
Brazil says 10 ounces.
No, can't be. 28 grams in an ounce.
28 grams in an ounce.
And I'm just putting it back on the heat, taking it off the heat, because as I add the butter, it's going to cool down, it's going to set, and I don't want it to set up too much yet, because it's going to be harder to whisk the fat into the eggs if it's all set up and congealed. So this is obviously Hollandaise. This is the base, like bechamel is the base, or stocks are bases for things. But from here you expand. So Hollandaise is just with the yolks, vinegar or lemon juice, and the butter. If you want to make Bernaise, you have Hollandaise and add tarragon to it, or some people add sherbet as well. You can make Charon, which is a sauce that's Hollandaise. And then you finish with blood orange juice and the zest of blood orange. There's Aurora, which is Hollandaise that you mix tomato paste into.
Mark, if there's anybody that's falling behind right now, should they be worried? Should they be?
No.
No? Okay. Go with your own pace, sort of thing.
Yeah, take time.
Don't be scared.
And obviously, like everything else we do, there are modern ways, there are modern techniques of doing this. You know, some people do it in a blender, cook out your egg yolks, and then put them in a blender and pour your butter on top. But then, what would I be showing you?
How to use a blender.
How to use a blender.
You look at them.
Now the real trick here, and this is the thing that you will get wrong before you start getting it right, is you want to get as much butter in your eggs as possible before it splits. Okay.
There it is.
You add too much butter, like making mayonnaise or making a you know, to get too much fat to your eggs. Or if you add it too quickly, the whole mix is going to split.
How is that on temperature as well? If your temperatures are too off?
I mean, if your temperature is, if it's too hot, you're going to scramble your eggs.
Right.
And if you scramble your eggs, you won't be able to multiply any fat into anything. And if it's too cold, it'll just take a little bit longer. So honestly, too cold is not a big problem.
Okay. I mean, it does sound like that blender idea is not bad.
And it's modern convenience. The industrial revolution. And I also want to stress that you don't need to use, so if you're following the recipe, you don't have to use all of the butter. Because the egg yolks I'm using, the egg yolks you're using are going to be different. Not only like different sizes, but the proteins are going to be different. So they're going to be able to emulsify less or more than each other. What you're really looking for is the consistency you're looking for.
So how will people know? Okay, so when it starts to get that, are we there? Should I come back?
We are almost there. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say we're almost there. So it's almost sort of like a light whipped cream. It's a light whipped cream kind of thing.
So we're at egg yolk, shallots, and butter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
That's actually what we call ribbon stage. For anyone who likes making cakes out there, you want to take it to a ribbon stage so you can draw.
When you're at the point where you're drying.
And it just sinks in on itself. That's how you know you've got the ribbon stage.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, if you're making this beforehand and you're holding it for a little bit, it's going to set up. So as the butter cools down, the whole thing is going to set up. So whether you need to keep it in a warm place or you need to not add as much butter. I think we're done there. Okay, so we're going to season this up. I'm going to add salt, I'm going to add pepper, I'm going to add more of the reduction of ingredients, I'm going to add some lemon juice. And then we will take a moment, so if you need to catch up, you catch up, and then we'll move on to the poached eggs. Leave your water on the heat, because this is what you give you poaching your eggs in as well. And you want it not boiling, but simmering. Okay, so that's ready.
How's that?
It's delicious.
Okay.
It's probably been a decade since I made Hollandaise. I'm going to taste it.
So why did you decide to make bolognese today for, you know, the world? Bolognese, sorry, Hollandaise.
Because the people spoke. We put a lot of public on Patreon and asked them what they wanted to see. And this is one of the things they wanted to see. So I've added salt, I've added white pepper, just because the white pepper is going to show up less in the sauce. If you use black pepper, you get those like little black flecks. So it's just a cosmetic thing, you can use black pepper.
Okay, well Myra was whisking and she wants to know, did she miss adding the reduction?
Did you miss, if you have the reduction, you can add it at any time. You can add it at stuff. I add it on when I added my eggs and my water together. You can put it in any time. That's the beauty of having it ready. I actually just added a little bit more to it after it's cooked because it needed a little bit more acidity.
Right. And then you got, sorry, so you got lemon juice?
So I add salt, pepper, and I'm adding just a squeeze of lemon juice. And so that lemon juice, like the vinegar, is typically just have to cut through the butter. So although it's rich and buttery, it's not like cloying. It's not like it's stuck around inside your mouth. It's very refreshing.
How much of the reduction that you, so you're basically using the reduction to taste?
I'm using the reduction to taste for the 4 egg yolks I used, and about 2 tablespoons of water. I used a teaspoon of reduction.
Okay.
But I just added another half teaspoon.
Okay. So in terms of your percentages or your parts?
in total.
Yeah.
In total, here I have 4 yolks, 2 tablespoons of water, a teaspoon of reduction, and then 200 grams of butter.
Okay.
A little under 200 grams.
Okay.
And then.
So you don't need much of the reduction.
You don't need much of the reduction, no.
And if you don't have it, it's not gonna end. Brunch is not ruined.
No, like I said, I mean, it's something that's it's in the classic recipe making Hollandaise, and it does, it gives it more of a rounded sort of flavour, because you have the shallots, you have the wine, and you have the white wine vinegar. So you have a bit of the sweet and sour thing going on as well, so it just gives it more of a rounded flavour. But like I said, most people just make their Hollandaise, and then they add lemon juice to it, adds the acidity to cut through the fat and everything. So it's not essential, but it is nice to have.
That extra step. Melanie would like to know, what other things can she use the leftover reduction for?
Vinaigrettes. Simply, you want to just put a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of it into your salad when you mix it up, or mix it with some oil. And I mean, anything else, it's a, think of it as like a sweet and sour base. So if you're making a sauce, a tomato sauce, you can add it in, has a little sweet and sourness to it. Salads, you can put spoonfuls of it in pasta and things like that. It's quite useful. It's one of the things we tend to sort of keep in the fridge, have around. It's almost like pickled onions, having some very diced pickled onions ready to go.
Priscilla said that the stupid thing split. Is it salvageable?
The only yes, it's salvageable, but you almost have to start again. You have to take another bowl, take 1 egg yolk, add your water, cook it out, and then slowly whisk the split mix into the new yolk mix.
So it's better to just start over.
It's a better start over. I don't know, because you kind of waste the ingredients, right? You've already put all the butter and stuff into here. I would start over. I would start over, because it's tricky. It's tricky. It's just as tricky to fix as it is to make in the first place. So it's probably better to just go back and level up and remake it again. It really is. You really need to get that butter in slowly, like especially at first. A few drops, like a teaspoon at a time, one after the other, while you continuously whisk. Otherwise, you do risk it splitting.
Laura wants to know how long she can keep the reduction in the fridge to use later on.
If you keep it so that the shallots are submerged in any of the liquid that's left, and then put it in an airtight container, it will last maybe a month. Again, imagine that they are, for all intents and purposes, it's pickled onions. We've cooked onions out in shallots, and we added a little bit of white wine. Whereas in pickled onions, you might add sugar, but we've added white wine for a bit of sweetness.
Can you cover that in some more vinegar?
You can put a little bit more vinegar on top.
Right.
Yeah, as like an oxygen seal. Right. You're better off putting sort of maybe a little layer of olive oil.
Okay.
As an oxygen seal.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're pickled onions. So as long as you can keep the pickled onions in the fridge a few months, they should be fine.
Excellent.
Should be fine.
They should be fine. Let's.
Under
all disclaimers.
Yeah.
This should be fine. If they,
under any normal circumstances, they will be fine.
If they get up and walk out of your refrigerator, we do not hold any liability.
What can I say?
So where are we at with our Hollandaise?
Our Hollandaise is ready.
Our Hollandaise is ready.
Our Hollandaise is ready.
Is everybody else's Hollandaise ready?
Like coming to a bit flat, can you see that?
I can come over to you. I can come over to you.
You're so good.
Myra says hers is delish.
Excellent.
Excellent, Myra.
So when you taste it, when you taste the finished product, it shouldn't taste necessarily fatty, but it should taste rich. And there should be like a little sharpness there with the lemon juice and with the vinegar.
Excellent. I think that's just wonderful. I think that's...
Yeah.
Yum. So what we on next, Mark? Well, now we've got our Hollandaise.
Now we have Hollandaise. Now we need to poach our eggs. You ready? You want to take a little break?
Okay, so while Mark sets up, we'll take a moment and just say that if you're interested and if you're into this right now, and if making Hollandaise with Mark Medina Rios is the most fun you've had on a Sunday, then you can also check out our Patreon channel. And yes, it's naked publicity, but you know, it's 30 seconds, I promise, won't be too long. But if you want to be a part of the Patreon community, you can join for €3 a month. You can join as a meatballer. You get access to all of our archives. You've got tons of recipes up there. Like what Mark is doing today, there's a whole series of French sauces, the mother sauces. There's a whole bunch of other recipes, and there'll be stuff up all the time with video tutorials and how-to guides. If you want to go to the €5 level, the cheesemaker level, you can follow along live with classes like this. You can send in your Q&As, so you can ask him questions. He does Q&A sessions where he answers you live and does his kitchen clinic. So any questions you have about why are my potatoes not cooking, why are they cooking too much, he'll answer for you. And you can take part in polls like this one today, where our Patreon community chose to do French techniques. You can choose and you can vote on other stuff that we'll do in other sessions. So, you know, if you like it, check it out. If not, listen, we just hope you guys are having fun and making sauce and that no one else is sauce split.
Sorry, Phil.
Sorry, Priscilla. So I think Mark is back in it. Okay, Mark.
Yeah?
We're here. We're ready for it. We need to know.
Okay, so hopefully your Hollandaise is done and you're good and you're set and ready to go. Now we're going to poach eggs. Now there are a lot of techniques. There are a lot of people who do this, some people do that. So basically, vinegar or no vinegar, okay? That's the question. People say you need to put vinegar in. Vinegar helps to coagulate the eggs. It's a bit of, it's seen now as a bit of, what's the phrase? An old wives' tale. Like, there are food scientists working on this who have debunked, some have debunked the myth of putting vinegar in for your poached eggs.
Okay.
But some people say that actually the flavor of the vinegar on the poached egg is something that they enjoy. It's actually part of the poached egg matter. So number 2, there is the swirl, which is what we're going to do. We swirl the water around, you create a little vortex, and then you drop your egg in. And as the swirl stops, it brings everything together and brings the egg together. I like this one, and I find it works pretty effectively.
This is the method that gets a lot of results. A lot of people don't like the vinegar method.
A lot of people don't like the vinegar. A lot of people don't like the flavor of eggs and vinegar. It's strange when sometimes eggs and vinegar together, but then the Hollandaise is a bit acidic. So the first thing we need to know is you want your water not boiling but simmering. If your water is boiling too hard, when you drop your egg in, the whole thing is just going to break apart. It's going to go everywhere. Also, you don't need to make a perfect poached egg, like the perfect round where it all closes up on itself. It's really not that important. As long as you have an egg that comes together in some way, it's going to cook and it's going to eat quite fine. Some chefs, what they do now is they'll take plastic wrap and they'll put it in a bowl, crack the egg in, fold it up around the egg, and then boil it inside the plastic wrap. So they get this like perfect shaped poached egg.
That sounds like a shortcut.
It sounds like a long thing, like a long time. What I'm going to show you, this is something that that I learned a while ago, I find really helps, is when you're putting the egg into the water, the higher you drop it from, the more it sort of splats, it like spreads out as it hits the water.
Is that what the stringiness is from?
When it's got like a little tail.
Yeah.
No, not really. No, it's when it sort of starts to feather out, like it's got like a wedding dress attached to it, you know, like a big white sort of, because it's just hit the water too hard.
Like a big jellyfish.
Like a jellyfish.
I asked because Melanie said that JDs are always stringy.
They're always stringy. I mean, that's not a bad thing. We used to do deep fried poached eggs. And the idea was you had your poached egg, and then you had one long strand of the egg white, and then you used to flour it and fry the whole thing, and it stood up on the plate. It was like this crispy poached egg, like a spike sticking out. That's fine. What do I do? Because getting your hands really near the pan, it's awkward, it's hot, you might burn yourself. Is I break the egg into a cup first. So
Espresso cup?
Yeah, I have like an espresso cup here.
Okay. We're going to come in. We'll come in close.
And then I'll grab an egg in a second, you can see. And when we go to put it in the water, we'll just get the cup really close and slide the egg into the water. So if you have like a little vessel like this around.
Like a cup.
And you're cooking with us, give it a try.
Okay, here we are. We're there with it. Man, moment of truth.
It is important to use like the freshest eggs possible. The older the eggs get, the more they start to, all the proteins and collagen is broken down, so that's when it really spreads out. So our water is simmering but not boiling. Swirl.
Your swirl up. The swirl is important, right?
The swirl is important. It's not super important. If you have just the right bubble going, sometimes the simmer is enough to sort of pull it up into. You get the cup real close. I'm going to drop the egg in. Now you're going to get a little bit of leach. You can get a little bit of these white jellyfishy things, but we just get rid of those.
Do you need to stir clockwise or anti-clockwise or counterclockwise?
Either or.
Either or. Just about getting that swirl in.
It's about not having too much water in the pan. You want the water not much deeper than the size of the egg. And then we're going to leave that about 3 minutes. That should be just enough to cook the whites, but not fully cook the yolks.
Any advice for people? Does it matter? Laura wants to know. Mark wants to know if you're doing more than one egg, is it better to do it one at a time?
No. I mean, Sunday brunch at Morello Bistro in Connecticut, we were doing hundreds of eggs at a time. But you need a shallow, wider pot. I would usually do a couple at a time, but this is actually the only pot I had that fits on the induction, so like, this is what I had to go with. But no, if you get just the right simmer, and if you drop the egg on top of where a simmer is, that little bubbling will actually push the white up around the egg. So, I mean, I like the swirl, but again, it's not important. It's about getting just the right boil on the water, just the right simmer on the water rather than having it actually boiling.
So it doesn't matter. Laura wants to know, does it matter if the eggs are room temperature or directly from the fridge?
Good question. Good question. I don't. You know what? I couldn't confidently answer that. I would say that probably in the fridge might be better, because when we do the egg yolk raviolis, you put the eggs in the fridge so they're a bit firmer, so it doesn't break when you put the pasta over. But then I don't usually put eggs in the fridge anyway. Eggs usually stay out. So actually, I couldn't tell you. I'll tell you what I'll do though. I will look into it, and I'll get back to you, and I'll answer it.
That is service. That is service. That's responsiveness.
Just gonna skim out some little lettuce. Because it's not needed. And when our eggs are ready, we can start getting ready to play. So let's, as we're talking about, just getting another egg in there. As we're talking about sort of classics, the formality of certain dishes. Let's clear up a little bit the difference between eggs Benedict, eggs Florentine, having ham, having salmon, things like that. Because I know from my experience that people would say, I'll take an eggs Benedict with salmon. I'll take a eggs Benedict with spinach. In the tradition, in the canon of recipes, eggs Benedict is with eggs and ham or bacon and hollandaise. Eggs Florentine is with spinach. Eggs Royale is with smoked salmon.
So just eggs, hollandaise,
and smoked salmon. Eggs, spinach, and then you have others. You have like eggs Chesapeake, which is with
crab meat.
Crab, yeah.
Correct. Delicious.
Things like that. You get eggs Mornaise, you have poached eggs with bacon, and then you use a cheese sauce instead of using hollandaise. But those are the three technical descriptions.
The big three.
Yeah.
The big three.
So we're going to start plating up a little bit. One of our first eggs is almost ready. I don't English muffins, but I do have this like Italian alternative. One English muffin might be. And I have a little bit of spinach I already sauteed off. You know what? Let's get some salmon on there as well.
So we're going for a fusion.
We are.
We're doing a fusion. Very nice. Because this looks like it's just going to be for you to eat, though. That's my concern. Is that I am very much not involved in the equation here.
You don't like this, Susie?
Wow.
Salmon there. We are going to get our spinach. Trying to create a nice little space for our egg to go on and sit on. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First egg coming out. A second, which I believe I've just broken.
Oh man, I'll clean that up for you.
Okay.
You just broke both of them.
I broke that second one on purpose.
Mm. Do you remember that time we did that dinner and you made a whole batch of hollandaise and then it fell on you?
Yes, I do, actually. It didn't so much fall on me as it fell out my hand, hit the floor, and splashed right back up in my face. And jacket and paper.
Hey.
And
Claudia wants to know if you boiled the spinach. Hi, Claudia.
no, I sauteed the spinach.
Spinach was a light saute.
And then we just put a little bit more pepper on top.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, it's getting messy.
It's getting messy.
It's getting messy. But that's brunch. It does look delicious. It does look delicious. Truth be told. Truth be told. And so, any last tips for people, Mark?
And also, I mean, you can, if you don't use all your hollandaise, you can put it in the fridge. You won't really be able to reheat it, but it is still quite delicious cold as well.
Okay. Any other stuff you can use hollandaise for? Anything? Everything?
I mean, there are a couple of recipes that do use hollandaise. There's a few like, what's the word I'm looking for? Lobster thermidor.
Uh-huh.
Where you take a lobster tail,
Sure.
you top it with hollandaise, and then you put that down it. You like broil it.
We've all got that laying around.
Yeah, if you just have a couple of lobsters laying around, that sort of thing, you know, no big deal.
Right.
But no, I mean you can do, and it's not especially stable. Sometimes it can. If you try and reheat it, it will slip. Right. And no, there are not a lot of recipes to use leftover hollandaise. There are, aside from things like thermidor, there isn't really anything else.
So if everybody, okay, well I guess you got to eat it all.
But this batch, I mean, the recipe that I give you in the recipe guide is about for 4 people. Nice. So if you're making brunch for yourself and your family, it will be enough.
Well, you know what, guys? If you have, if you've done it, if you've done your hollandaise and you've done your Benedict, your brunch, send us a photo, send us a picture. Yeah, we want to see it. If it didn't work for you at all, let us know, because we also want to know about that. We want to see that. And if there's anything else, any other questions you have, get in touch. That is what we're here. What was what we're here for? We're doing it up.
Yeah, thank you all very much for being here. I hope that was useful. I'm sorry, we're getting not very used to being in front of a camera.
I'm so used to it.
There was probably quite a lot of dead air. It wasn't very comfortable, but that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing it, for practice.
Myra said she couldn't take a picture. She ate it. She ate it before taking a picture. That is okay.
That's
take
fine.
a picture of your empty plate.
That's fine, yeah.
And tag us. You can put it up on Instagrams. Tag us on it, wherever you want to do it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all so much.
If you are making this at any point, if you're there, you're on Patreon, if you have any questions, feel free to send a message through there, and I usually get back pretty quickly.
If he's not making more hollandaise sauce.
If I'm not making more hollandaise sauce. No, it's been another 10 years now for me. And I know we're gonna have to have like a brunch, like people around for brunch, so we can do this. No, thank you all very much, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.